Today I will be presenting how the portrayal of alcohol use in media affects America's youth. The demographic that I'm focusing on today consists of American youth, specifically college-age students, and especially those susceptible to alcohol-related issues. All of these categories fall into either adolescence or emerging adulthood. Based on numerous studies that researchers have conducted in the United States, the portrayal of alcohol in media leads to underage drinking and possible substance abuse in adolescence. And the early onset of alcohol use and youth binge drinking in the US has been associated with exposure to alcohol use in movies. So basically, we're looking at the correlation between seeing alcohol in media and the adverse effects that it has on the adolescents who consume this content. The main issue is how detrimental it is to use alcohol so early on in life, specifically in adolescence. So witnessing alcohol in films can lead to early dependence in high school, and the risk factors that come with this include alcohol abuse, DUI, car crashes, violence, and injuries, and for college students, drunk driving and unprotected sex. Although excessive alcohol use at any age is detrimental to someone, it is specifically harmful to someone that is under the age of 14 because they are unable to handle alcohol the same way that an adult does. This table gives us information about the percentage of films rated for youth when specific behavioral content is present or absent by country. So if we take a look at the table in the alcohol any category, for 62 movies that do not have alcohol in them, 82% are rated for youth. And for 300 movies that do have alcohol in them, 70% are rated for youth. So it is important to note that 62 versus 300 is a big gap, but it is also important to note that the majority of these movies, despite the fact that one does have alcohol and one doesn't have alcohol, both of them have large percentages that are rated for youth. And we see a similar pattern for moderate or extreme alcohol use and alcoholic intoxication. Roberts conducted a study where he examined the use of alcohol in a sample of the top-grossing U.S. films released between '86 and '94 with a sample size of 100. 96% of these movies referenced supporting alcohol use, a third discouraged alcohol use, and 79% had lead characters using alcohol. Then, in a separate study, he examined the top 200 rental movies from '96 to '97. 93% had alcohol use, 9% had anti-alcohol statements, 14% featured the refusal of alcohol, and 43% drinking was depicted as a positive experience. This table displays the prevalence over time of different behaviors in youth and adult-rated films by country from 2002 to 2005 and 2006 to 2009. So as we can see in the alcohol-related categories, there is no significant change in the amount of alcohol between these years across all countries, but we can see in tobacco that there is some decrease that is noticeable, especially in the United States, in youth movies. So what we can gather from this is that the reform that was pushed across the United States and in other countries for tobacco use in general to be decreased was effective, and we will be looking at these implications later on. Using the media practice model, we can take the behavior of adolescents and apply it to how seeing alcohol in media so often can really affect them. So we know that youth select the media, and then from there they learn to interpret, accept, or reject it, and they really just try to see what works for them. So if we look at it more specifically, teens may see positive portrayals of alcohol use in media and will aim to mimic that behavior. And once they integrate the use of alcohol into their behavior, there are very severe effects, as discussed previously, such as abuse, addiction, and dependence. Conducted with 16 students in California in 2013 showed that when they were exposed to different types of alcohol-related media, such as internet videos, social media, movies, television, magazine advertisements, songs, and video games, there was a significant relationship between alcohol use in 7th grade and 8th grade. So basically, if the teens saw alcohol when they were in 7th grade, there was a good chance that they would be associated with alcohol in 8th grade. And there happened to be a reciprocal mutually influencing process that happened. So once teens saw the content, they started to use alcohol more, which means that they started to watch more content that appealed to them, which resulted in a positive feedback loop. Overall, it's important to consider how alcohol and media influences youth because it can lead to a number of psychosocial problems. And the main take-home message is that the portrayal of alcohol in media, particularly in films, has adverse effects on youth, and we can work with prevention and intervention programs to hopefully stop this issue. As a whole, and in specific aspects of society, we can all do some more. Parents can be conscious of the media that their children are consuming. There should be a stronger wave for the reform of alcohol use in media, as we saw in tobacco use, which was actually effective. And we can hold alcoholic brands accountable because as there's an increasing presence of them in films, if we put policies in place that hold these brands accountable, then we can have less alcohol use in media, which will have beneficial effects for the adolescents in our society. In addition to that, we can prepare and protect our children by providing them with media literacy education so that they use critical thinking skills when consuming information online.